another exciting edition of DDM Morning Show. I am Toshku Raphael, joined by DDM analyst Ibrahim Umawasi. Ibrahim, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Tochukwu Raphael. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning to our guest, Mr. Comrade Patrick Obianyo and Pastor Lawrence Okeke. You are welcome to DDM Morning Show. And due process, you are welcome.
All right. Today is Wednesday, 28th of August, 2025. And here is a line of stories for you. We shall talk about the real truth behind the Anambra State by-elections from the perspectives of the members of the ADC. And then we shall move to the shock in Anambra State. Soludo's Udogachi sexually brutalizes core member. And finally, we shall talk about the interesting story of a 20-year-old in Europe who founded a new nation, a micronation, and declared himself president of that nation. Now, let's take it away. Today, we are honored to have Mr. Patrick Obianyo, the chairman of the African Democratic Congress Party in Anambra State. And then we also have Pastor Lawrence, the state secretary of the ADC. And of course, Mr. Due Process, our permanent guest. You're welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you, the moderator.
All right, the spotlight is on these guests as we dissect the recent by-elections in Anambra State, which saw the ADC suffer a significant defeat to All Progressives Grand Alliance, APUGA, a party with a strong foothold in the state. Now, this election marked a critical moment for the ADC as it sought to expand its influence in a highly competitive political environment. We will explore the factors that led to the party's performance, the lessons learned, and the strategic way forward. Join us for what promises to be a candid and insightful discussion on the implications of the election results for Anambra State and the broader Nigerian political landscape. Let's take it away. Mr. Obianyo, Comrade Obianyo, you're welcome once again.
Thank you.
All right, let us start. How would you assess the overall performance of the ADC in the recently concluded by-elections in the state?
ADC, as it were, on the surface, did not perform well. I need actually to accept that. But a lot of factors are actually responsible for that. Factors that has to do with intimidation, vote buying. Even INEC itself is unfortunate that an election that is just limited to, let me say, just 16 constituencies throughout the federation, and we are still have a lot of tale of woes with respect to the conduct of the election. And it's most unfortunate that even INEC could not even upload the result of the election online. So it's most unfortunate. And let me say that that ADC as it did not actually envisage the level of violence and the intimidation that follow this particular election. But that does not mean that we are not aware of the election situations in the country. But we thought that they haven't just only 2 constituencies here in Anambra and just few other constituencies in the country, that INEC should have risen up to the challenge. But you can see, if, for instance, what transpired between the deputy governor and the candidate of APC at the upcoming governorship election, you can now see what level of intimidation that is one can experience with less mortals. So the election was actually marred by a lot of intimidations, vote buying, and even in some cases, people were chased out of of the polling units. At Onitsha, for instance, our people at the polling units were brutalized. I mean, even to the extent that somebody got seriously injured. So the election, ADC actually performed abysmally, not necessarily because they couldn't have done better, but we least expected what we saw on the ground. So that's it for now.
But what do you believe were the main reasons behind APGA's decisive victory over the ADC in these elections? Because APGA has been the major party, or has been in control for 19 years or thereabout. So was it about popularity of the party, APGA, or what other factors contributed? What would you say contributed to the APGA's victory in this election?
APGA was so, APGA was, though APGA had been, on the issue is that they would have, APGA as a party would have allowed a free and fair election, devoid of intimidation, devoid of vote buying. As a matter of fact, at Onitsha, the report I got from my men at the polling unit said that at a point, APGA was dropping 1.5 million at each polling unit, and the security agencies were there. The hungry people are very hungry. Today, with just little money, you can buy people over. So people no longer vote according to their conscience. And because that is what these politicians have done to impoverish the populace, so that they can only easily be used. So what happened, what gave APGA the leeway, so to say, was simply because of this kind of level of intimidation. And don't just easily forget that all these thugs that parade themselves as both Udogachi and all these security outfits, though they were not putting on their uniforms, but they are still the same people inside the different cloth, moving about, accompanying some of the politicians. And mind you, as it were, it is not always, it is banned, as it were, during political, at least movements are restricted. But then you find that moving from one place to the other unchecked. And unfortunately, the police, the security officers will be there watching a lot of things going wrong. So APGA had that advantage of using the state structure, including the police and the rest of them, security, to bulldoze its way through. So that is what actually happened.
Right, I will come back to you, Pastor Lawrence. Now, the same question is posed to you. Several analysts suggest that grassroots mobilization and local party structures played a significant role in pushing APGA forward. Now, how did the ADC prepare and mobilize at the grassroots level for this election?
Okay, thank you very much for having me. The election has come and gone, but we're here to discuss what happened. And talking about grassroots, ADC to the people of Anambra State is a new party to them, although it's not a new party, but to this extent, they counted it as a new party. So the reception is still not very high, though people are beginning to receive ADC as a new hope. So being as it may, APGA has dominated Anambra State for years with all kinds of intimidations and all have you. So coming to the election was a kind of sudden to us at ADC, because we are just doing harmonizations and trying to put our house in order before the election came to us. So we didn't have enough time to put all our arsenals and do enough mobilizations as it were. Thank you.
Right.
Yes,
Pastor Lawrence,
okay.
I would like to ask Pastor Lawrence, there is that belief that when a new political party come on board, like the people behind it will be, if they are strong and really influential, the people will just key into that party. So in the case of ADC, and going by the fact that people like His Excellency Peter Obi and a lot of political heavyweights are with the political party, people expect that people will just key into that party because of the caliber of people in the party. You brought the idea of mobilization, that there is lack of mobilization from the ADC side, and the honorable chairman of the ADC in Anambra State brought the idea of maybe election rigging or something like that. So with that being said, if the ADC's revelation about the election are true, what does it say about the integrity of Nigeria's electoral process, especially as we approach 2027 election?
Yeah, you mentioned some things concerning area of influence. The influence of P2B on this election was not felt because people are yet to understand his stand. That's number one. And he also came up for the campaign on Thursday to campaign for the senatorial candidate of Anambra South. And it was something that came in late, I would say. So, like I said, the election came to us so sudden. So we didn't have enough time to put our people where they belong and do enough mobilization. But we were able to come second in Onitsha constituency, which will I say is our first time. And if you check, for a while now, we have not had such move and such influence in Anambra State. So ADC has come to stay and is a party to beat because for ABGA to, begin to buy votes, if actually they have what it takes, they wouldn't have been buying votes because the evidences were everywhere. All our people in all the local governments, Anambra South Senatorial District and Onitsha Constituency 1, they were all giving their reports. Everywhere there were vote buying, even to the tune of buying a vote for 100,000. Some 40,000, they started with 5,000, and before you know it, why are they doing that? Because they saw that people are ready to vote the so-called new party ADC and new candidates that are running with us because of competence. But they have to intimidate them with money because of poverty. Like my chairman said, people have been impoverished, and they look at their house. There's no food in the house, and you are throwing 20K before the person just for voting. You are throwing 50K, and if you are there, maybe you may likely change your mind if you are not a party person. So for us to get such number of votes shows that we have a stronghold, and we are going to build on that to make a greater impact. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Pastor. Okay.
I want to chip in, please. I am Mr. Tutukrafel. I'm sorry. Pastor Lawrence, yes, I agree that clearly ADC has shown, send a clear message that we are a party now to reckon with in Anambra State and by extension in Nigeria. But I don't think people like us, political analysts, will say that they did less than what we expect from them. Don't forget the fact that Peter Obi come from Anambra State. This is his base and his stronghold. So we expect even people that have lesser influence than him in the country, for example, Rabbi Musa Konkosu, managed to win some seats in Kano State. So Anambra State should be the base of Peter Obi, and they should show it in their action. But one of the key things I took from what you said is the fact that vote buying plays a role in Nigerian politics. But they say almost doesn't kill a bet. And I would like to channel this question to the chairman of the ADC. What do you think we should do, the ADC should do better to make sure that they pass that level of almost? Because in a political space whereby winner take all, almost will never yield any result. And we don't like to be an almost party, isn't it?
Okay, thank you. Yes, of course. Actually, just as the secretary said, ADC is a party that is a newly evolving party, so to say. It has been in existence for quite some time, but it is serving a kind of, it's now evolving to something better, a party to beat in this country. And you must note in the first place that when you have a convergence of political parties in the first place, there is always the need for, for you people to get your bearing. Because a lot of people are, as a matter of fact, if not for proper party management, there would have been some little problems in this kind of coalition, since people are just coming in to take positions and the rest of them. And our hands are open, and we are welcoming all of them. So that is one. So, and we are equally building, hoping that what we experienced in the past election will not just be the same in the upcoming governorship election, because all the loopholes we have identified and are ready to plug those loopholes to make sure we win the governorship election. Having said that, we cannot, yes, I quite agree that P2B has a lot of influence, but at times you need to balance up this influence with hunger. Just as Pastor Lawrence said, in this country, it is very difficult for somebody to be offered 50,000 when he does not even know where else to get the next meal. And you expect such a person, even given the situation in the country, to reject that money and vote. That would have been a very patriotic decision and one doing good to himself, because we really need to push out people that are not sound and that cannot give us the required leadership that is needed to move this country forward. But at the same time, you find out that the entire resources is available to the ruling party in Anambra State, and that was why. And besides, I just keep saying it. Besides, there was this kind of level of intimidation. Besides using money to buy votes, we have some other intimidation. People are being intimidated. So, about grassroots, of course, I know you cannot completely compare ADC with that of ABGA, that now has mayors at the various local governments, with funds available to them and the rest of them, and the state government coming in again with its might to do whatever it did in the election. And don't just forget that the state government has the security. If one looks at what that incident that happened between the deputy governor and the governor of and the deputy governor and the governorship aspirant of APC, you will understand that a given situation where a citizen could block a governor and warn him to just come back or get his entire vehicles burned down is very shameful in a country, in a place we call a country. Though one can as well argue that what is the deputy governor looking for when there are ordinary should have been a restriction of movement, leaving his polling unit to go to another person's polling booth. All the same, It's always, all of these things are just show of shame. So ADC, what we are doing now is having taken stock of, because we've gotten reports from the various local governments of the incidences that happened that made things the way it is. We are going to build on that. We are looking at it. And by the time we just take stock of all these things and we will make amend, and at the next election, I believe that some of the restructurings we are doing, both at the state and the local government, will begin to bear fruit in the upcoming election come November 8th.
Now, you have established a significant thing here that the APOGA under Soludo has the foundation, the structure, the security, the funds. And one issue in electoral system today in Nigeria, of course, we have solved significantly the problem of malpractices in terms of with the introduction of the beavers, but we still have a problem of vote buying, vote trading, then electoral violence. So how do you intend specifically to solve the issue of vote buying in the next election?
Well, first of all, we wouldn't always advocate for vote buying, but then we really need to appeal to the conscience of the people to realize that those buying their votes are merely trying to get them mortgaged. I mean, get their future mortgaged, future of their children mortgaged. You see, we intend to embark on extensive education of people to note the money you are being given is your money. Take the money and vote according to your conscience. Because ordinarily, I know that once you are not in government, you hardly can match the money for money. I mean, it is completely out of place. You cannot do that. So what needs to be done is extensive education. Let them understand the implications of selling their votes, how it impacts negatively on their lives and their lives of the family and the entire state, so to say. Because whosoever is buying your money is the money that is supposed to be used to affect, at least to make your life better. It's what is being used now to give you just a paltry sum of money. Within a short time, that money just goes and you still remain where you are. So I think that is what we need to do. And then more importantly, go in door to door, house to house, campaign, and know that it is not easy to indulge in, taking money to vote the wrong people. Otherwise, you are really doing more harm to yourself than to anybody else. So I think that is the approach we actually need to because if we talk of going to buy vote just as they are doing, I mean, certainly there's no way you cannot match them.
All right. But in your view, has the ADC succeeded in creating a distinct political identity that resonates with the electorate in Anambra State? And how can it better differentiate itself moving forward?
Well, just as I said, ADC, as you know, is currently a coalition with so many other parties coming into ADC, party members coming into ADC. Therefore, what is needed is for us to sit down and look at all these things. I believe that ADC will eventually be completely entrenched in the, in Anambra State, going by what we have going forward, our thinking and our strategies. That is completely, it's not something I'll begin to talk here, but I know we have strategies through which we can reach out to people and make entrenched ADC here in Anambra State. But then, other things is actually the behaviors, the characters, what are we coming in with? I mean, we are a party with DNA, a party that talks about making the country better offering people that are really credible, to champion its cause and and take up elective positions. So these are issues we really need to educate. That is the key issue there.
All right.
So we must be selective. We don't choose everybody. We cannot do that. I mean, every Tom, Dick, and Harry coming into ADC without imbibing that very DNA, that spirit of transforming the country. I think that is what we need to do. And that is what we are doing already. Unfortunately, what came up wasn't there. We hadn't enough time actually to complete what we have in our chest. So that.
All right, Comrade Patrick Obianyo, the state chairman of the African Democratic Congress, and Pastor Lawrence Okeke, the state secretary of the ADC. Thanks for your contribution and time.
Thank you. Thank you, moderator. Yeah.
All right, let us take our second story. The Anambra State government has come under intense scrutiny following a distressing incident involving the brutal assault and sexual violence against a female National Youth Service Corps by the operatives of the state's vigilante group, Operation Udogachi, also known as the Agone Chamber Vigilante Group. The incident, which occurred on July the 23rd, 2025, at the Corps Members' Lodge in Oba Idemili South local government area, was brought to the public attention by a viral video posted by the human rights organization, the Heaven 360 Foundation. The video graphically shows a female Corps member, Jennifer Edema Eloho, being dragged, severely beaten, and stripped naked by more than 5 armed vigilante operatives. During the assault, the operatives accused her and her colleagues of being internet fraudsters, popularly known as Yahoo people, despite their presentation of valid NYSC identification cards and uniforms. The victim was subjected to egregious physical violence and sexually degrading threats. The vigilantes' actions were violently carried out, even as classmates and onlookers pleaded for mercy. This brutal act has sparked widespread condemnation from various quarters. The Heaven 360 Foundation has vocally demanded the immediate arrest, prosecution, and compensation for all victims. The foundation has also pledged to provide legal and advocacy support for the victims' families to ensure justice is served. In a related response, the Anambra State government, under Governor Charlse Soludo, publicly condemned the assault and has confirmed the arrest of the members of the Agone Chamber Vigilante Group responsible for the attack. Civic groups and residents have described the incident as barbaric and unacceptable, emphasizing that such brutality erodes public trust in leadership and calls for urgent accountability and reform of local security forces. Very sad indeed. Now, okay, Comrade Patrick Obianyo, you are still with us. What is your take on this? There has been several cases of violence by the newly established Agone Chamber security outfit. You just talked about Agone Chamber being used to intimidate voters during the last election. And now, why is this happening? Why all this violence?
Okay, thank you. In the first place, who are these Agone Chamber people? Who are they? These are just a group of people that we are not trained. And what do you expect? As a matter of fact, there was even a day. This is what happened just, the incident you talk about. It's only that one out of thousands of what has been happening with these people. I was actually so much irritated that I had to, on a particular day, just at the Unity Junction, saw these Agna Chamber people. You see the way they were treating a madman. Cannot believe it. Beating, brushing him down, beating him, and threw him into their vehicle. I came down and told them, do you know that this man is mad? Why should you handle a man like that? A madman. So what you are announcing, maybe perhaps nobody filmed and circulated that you have seen. This is only one out of many other incidences that are actually happening. And of course, you don't blame them. Who trained them? They are not trained. Possibly people out of job and are just looking for what to do. Some hoodlums, we are just gathered together and giving one name, and you are just unleash them on the masses. And what do you think that will be the result? It's actually unfortunate, and it's only by the grace of God that this one came to light. And so, even when those people are being sacked and being dealt with, and the rest of them, it's only but one. So it's unfortunate. We are not saying that you cannot employ security operatives, call them whatever you like. There is need to give them proper training and know the kind of people you employ to do that. Not just bringing all sorts of hoodlums and unleashing them on the masses, and you begin to look at begin to see some of these things. So that is what to expect in a situation of that nature. So it's unfortunate anyway.
All right, Mr. Due Process, what is your take on this? I think he's not here. Okay, Mr. Ibrahim, would you attribute this to lack of training? Of course, the last time we spoke with Dr. Law Mefo, the Honorable Commissioner for Information of Anambra State, he said that the security outfit was being revived or retrained. But I mean, this incidents of, extrajudicial killings or extrajudicial violence is reported almost on a daily basis now. And there is need for the security outfit to be revived or rejuvenated. Totally. What do you think?
Clearly, Mr. Tochukwu, if a law enforcement agent or agency is not serving the purpose on which it was created, then it should cease to exist. The main purpose of creating Udogachi is to protect the life and the livelihood of Anambarians. If they are not serving that purpose, then I don't think there is any reason for them to continue. With regards to whether they are being trained or they are not, that is left for the governments to decide. If they train them and they are perpetrating this kind of, should I say, Teru act, because sexual assault is a criminal act, then they should take the responsibility 100%, the government, because they claim they train them. And if you train someone and is perpetrating this kind of violence act on the people he is supposed to protect in the first place, then we have every reason to worry which kind of government will, for example, maintain this kind of institution that is perpetrating criminal acts against its own people. So for me, it's utterly rubbish for you to keep on maintaining that you train these people while the story is keep on going negatively towards the people. I'm not a fan of them, clearly, because of what they've been doing on a daily basis to the Anambarians, and they should cease to exist if they are not serving the purpose on which they have been created.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Patrick, Comrade Patrick Obianyo, you are the state chairman of the ADC, and I believe your party has an ideology about aspects of governance in a state. So what would you consider an ideal security architecture in a state that can guarantee success in the security of the lives and property of the citizens of a state? What would you consider? How can a proper holistic security be instituted in a state? And then how can the government balance the need for community-based security initiatives like vigilantes with respect for human rights and the rule of law?
Yes, thank you very much. Like in my own party and our governorship candidate, is an IT expert. What we actually intend to do, the ideologies is that our security will be technologically driven. If you look at what is happening at Enugu, for instance, one can easily borrow a leaf from the way they organize, Enugu state government organize its own security. You will find out that whatever you are doing is already being reported at a situation room within the government house. So their Enugu's security is carried out technologically. We've gone beyond this kind of barbaric approach to security. To security or security of our people. And it's a cake. If you like, call it analog type of business that has not even achieved much, so to say. I'm also talking about security of the district. Other things that could be done again is we arrange for security, community-based security, where the communities will now appoint those people, they know their character, because those security people will be coming from the community. Or community members, they know themselves, and they know the ones they can choose as security, that can work as security men, which at least we have a kind of security within the communities that will aid. Because even if you are installing this kind of using technology, it may not go round. At the remote areas of the country, but at the urban areas, particularly where this crime rate is very high, it could be effectively used to checkmate a criminal acts. But at the villages, we have this to appoint, let the community select their own community, their own security outfit, with people of proven character that can be in that very that can be the security vigilant men, and be properly trained and will be retrained from time to time. And whatever we are doing, even where you have such security people at the community, they cannot work in isolation. They must work in collaboration with our security agencies like the police, the DSS, and the rest of them, who will equally be monitoring and be sure that they are working in accordance with the law. And as a matter of fact, be civil in the approach and not to be very brutal. So that is our approach, the ADC approach. That will be our approach to security issues if voted come November 18th.
What role can civil society and human rights organizations play in monitoring and reforming local security mechanisms in Nigeria, in Anambra State, and of course, in Nigeria?
Okay, the civil society actually has a lot of role. They have a lot to do because their own is equally a watchdog. They will be there to be watching and keeping reports and keeping people informed. Making people know exactly what is happening. And of course, they can be brought in, in kind of, their attention should be drawn in forming some of these security outfits, and their own input be allowed to be made while they keep watching what is happening and reporting appropriately if this certain thing starts going well. Because wherever you have human activities, the tendency for people to be overzealous and act out of order is always there. So they have equally role to play, equally organize seminars and educate people on how to be civil. I mean, particularly the security outreach. They have role to even educate them equally, have seminars and what have you, to make sure that that all these things are done appropriately. Of course, other things that requires is for them to equally be watchdogs to bring to the public domain any act of violence that requires the attention of government and the society at large.
All right, thank you very much. I would also love to tell or establish that Anambra people need and would desire to see justice in this case. There have been several killings, several harassment, several intimidation by members of Agone Chamber security outfit. We are told that justice was being done, but people would love to feel and see that justice has been done. These perpetrators, these bad elements, bad eggs within this architecture, within this group, should be brought to book. The people will feel there should be an orientation, back-to-back orientation on the case, all these cases, so that people will know that the government truly loves them. That is what I want to establish. All right, let us take our last story for this episode. A 20-year-old British man named Daniel Jackson has declared the creation of a new unrecognized micronation called the Free Republic of Vedis in a disputed, unclaimed patch of land along the Danube River between Serbia and Croatia in Europe. Jackson, a video game developer from Dover, England, first declared Vedis on May 30th, 2019, when he was just 14 years old. Since then, he has styled himself as the provisional president, running what he calls a government in exile of Vedis, despite never having permanent physical control over the territory. Vedis occupies a somewhat ambiguous territorial area caused by a long-standing border dispute between Serbia and Croatia, making it a rare piece of terra nullius or unclaimed land. Jackson and his associates have tried to settle the land, even planning to establish infrastructure such as houseboats along the river. The nation plans to focus on a digitally oriented economy, accepting select citizenship applications and intending to use the euro unilaterally, similar to Kosovo and Montenegro. Jackson's micronation has attracted about 15,000 citizenship applications, of which only 400 have been accepted. Vedis remains unrecognized by any official government or international organization, and Jackson has faced legal challenges, including being detained and deported by Croatian authorities. The embassies of Croatia and Serbia have not formally commented on the matter. Experts on international relations, including Dr. Philip Conliffe of University College London, stress that the claim of statehood has no basis in modern international law and regard Vedis as a symbolic act rather than a viable new country. However, Jackson remains optimistic about Vedis' future, especially if Serbia and Croatia resolve their border dispute, possibly leaving the claimed territory open for settlement. Vedis is reminiscent of other micronations like the Principality of Sealand or the Liberland, which also exist largely as digital or symbolic entities with little or no permanent population or recognized sovereignty. Now, this is an interesting case. A 20-year-old guy, sometime in 2019, was, scouring a map, along with his friends, and then spotted a strip of forest, between Serbia and Croatia, all in southeastern Europe. And they say this territory has not been claimed by either country. So let us just go and grab it and give it a name. So they named it Verdes, a very small country, a micronation. We call it micronation because it has not been recognized. We have microstates, which are recognized, a state like the Vatican City. But this micronation called Verdes is just about 1.6 hectares larger than Vatican City. So the guy claimed the territory full of, he was adventurous, he was enthusiastic, but then today he declares himself president of Verdes, although he does not live there. He's living outside the country because the Croatian authorities are after him and has told him not to come back. So he's somewhere in England, but still sees himself as the president and founder of the country. But the thing here is that, Comrade Obianyo, the international law, based on international law, do you think that this deserves to be called an independent state or a sovereign state or a country?
Well, I don't think there is any justification actually to declare such a country an independent state.
Mr. Ibrahim, you're raising a hand.
All right, I would like to contribute to that topic because I am actually interested in the topic. One thing that is constant in life is change. And generally speaking, people fear change. Like ingrained in our psyche, human beings fear change. The definition of a country in the modern world has to do with the system of government, the economic structure, the geographical location, the military structure, and so on and so forth, which is something that we can see tangibly before our own eyes. But with the advance in technology, now we have digital assets, right? So clearly we are moving there closer and closer and closer. And some people even propose that a country should not be based on, should I say, tribe or race. It should rather be based on a shared belief system. They said it makes more sense, for example, for people who are homogeneous in sex, for example, the LGBT community, to leave the heterogeneous society and live as a separate country. In the same vein, people that have a similar belief system, it is believed that they flourish better because they have the same role models, they look at life from the same lens, and so on and so forth. So there's high chances that the people that share the same belief will flourish faster and better than people who does not share similar belief system. So with that being said, I am seeing this boy as an initiator of a new thing in the world. Definitely there will be resistance, but if he succeeds, he will be celebrated as a hero, and he deserves that. Clearly, he is proposing for a country. It's not even something that is new, since the territory was not claimed by any other country. So there are people that are proposing for a virtual country, countries that are clearly 100% online. You just go there, and the same way you have your phone, you access your phone, you have your access there, you have your money, they have their monetary system, their military structure, their economic structure, the structure of the government. But people are living in different geographical locations across the world, but they share the same belief system and they are sharing the same virtual country. So I'm not seeing this as something that it is far-fetched, clearly, but I think he will achieve his goals if he's persistent in it.
But do you think, in as much as this is, this fills us with a sense of, wonder, given his age, and it is, it's a sense of discovery, sense of, what do I call it? I mean, it is so much inspiring. But the issue here is that, can this small territory be called or regarded as a state. Okay.
What's the question? I want to hear the question properly. You say,
all right.
Should it be considered?
Considered as a state. Because, why do I say this? All right. Comrade Obianyo, can you hear me?
Yeah, let me respond to your question before you go to him.
Okay.
Should it be considered as a state?
Yes, yeah.
With regards to considering the his proposal as state, it's vested based on the laws of that is governing people today. And I believe laws evolve with the people, just like culture. So when the law change, the society will definitely go with it. So, and now, today, I don't think it is possible for him to achieve that. It will not be recognized today. But in the nearest future, I believe it will be recognized.
All right. Comrade Obianyo, over to you, please.
Well, as I'm saying anyway, I wouldn't know actually why the young man decided to go that length of time. I mean, go that extent of declaring himself president and carving out a country of his own. But then again, that some people are actually applying to be part of that country shows some level of disenchantment. That is how really human beings, I mean human factors, because as things stands now, you find out that a lot of people are not happy with what is happening, and the tendency is for them to think of a way of separating from what they perceive as, irresponsibilities, if I may use that word, on parts of some of people that are in government. So the young man has become disenchanted with his country and has decided to pull out. That is not actually the best, because such actions often ends up in brings about chaotic situations, and in some cases brings about war and the loss of human lives, thereby compounding possibly what that person feels he set out to achieve. However, such actions, I do know that countries, such separation does not often receive approval of countries. I mean, never gets approval from other countries. So you now remain completely isolated, and they will always only be breeding a problem in your community that affects the entire, your country, that affects the entire citizenry.
All right, thank you very much. But we must establish that according to Montevideo Convention, a treaty, an international treaty instituted in 1933 on the duties and the rights of a state. It says that for a state or for a territory or for a people to have the recognition or the right to be recognized as a state, that these people must have 4 criteria. One is a permanent population. The entity must have people who permanently reside there. The second is that the people must have the defined territory. The entity must have a clearly identified territorial boundaries. Then it must have a government, and the government should be able to control that territory effectively. And finally, the territory or the people should be able to enter into relations with other states. So when all these criteria are achieved, then the place or the territory is regarded formally as a country. Now the question is, has this micronation, the Free Republic of Venice, achieved these criteria? The answer is no. Of course, it might achieve them in the future. But the true fact of this is that this is encouraging, this is inspiring, this is motivating, especially to young people in Africa, This boy was 14 years old and he discovered a new country. So this should be something that should, encourage us to explore. There are so many things that are yet untapped. There's so many places, so many ideas yet untapped. It is left for us. God has given us the reason to explore these things and have dominion over the earth. All right, thank you very much, Comrade Patrick Odianyo, the state ADC chairman in Anambra State. Thanks for your contribution and time.
Thank you, moderator. And thank you for having me.
All right, this is where we draw the curtain on today's DDM Morning Show. I am Toshku Raphael with Ibrahim Umawase, DDM analyst. We shall be here again tomorrow to give you another exciting edition. Goodbye.